KNEX, a company widely known for their iconic Super Mario line. They released set after set for almost a decade before suddenly stopping in 2018. But why? And how did we get here? Well, it all started at the wedding of all things, when the rodent group's Joel Glickman was idly playing with 2 straws. However, it was when adding a connector part that something clicked, and no, I don't mean literally. He suddenly realised he could construct all kinds of things simply out of straws. Fast forward to 1993 and they'd officially launched in the US. KNEX usually consisted of interlocking rods and connectors, as well as bricks. And while originally models used a hand crank to move, they would later evolve into gears and motors, allowing builds to move on their own. Essentially, it was like an engineer's Lego. Now, it's no surprise then that in 2011, on July 21st, after distributing in over 25 countries, they revealed at the Nintendo World Store in New York City their officially licensed Mario Kart Wii sets. The first wave of sets mainly consisted of Mario, Luigi and Yoshi, although there was another character, but we'll get to them in a minute. From this wave we had bike building sets featuring the standard bike which looked straight out of the game itself. Mario and Luigi had their own stickers on it, just like in the game. Unfortunately, Yoshi didn't get a bike this time around, although we did have a few kart building sets featuring again just a standard kart for our main trio. And the main selling point of this was basically the pullback motor. Now there were actually a few more carts you could get, but these came in their track sets. Starting off with their small tracks, which this time featured motorized battery powered carts. You could get Mario in his sprinter carts and a few sets, all coming from Mario's circuit. No, not that circuit. Yeah, that's right, interestingly enough, these seem to be based off of the Double Dash track from the GameCube, which returned as a classic course in Mario Kart Wii. This is pretty apparent with the Mario trademark for Delfino Oak Tree building set, which gives, you guessed it, a movable Delfino Oak Tree obstacle. Wow. Following that we find a chainsaw building set, which just looks very game accurate by the way, although it would be a bit hard to get wrong, let's be honest. Thirdly we have the Piranha Plant building set, and by now you can probably notice a pattern. Each small track gives us some sort of new obstacle that can be moved to attack Mario, as well as varying items, and this will follow suit for the rest of the characters. But before we get to those, we have another small track featuring Mario. Just in the standard cart, but this introduces us to some swinging Goombas, and something I've just noticed are those stickers on the bottom of the track, which further confirms and finishes up on the Mario circuit theme. Wonder what theme we'll get next? Oh boy, did KNEX love this track, because they dedicate nearly the rest of this wave to it. Beginning with Luigi and a standard cart, he comes in a not so standard set, which has spinning Podoboo cogs ready to attack Luigi. On the other hand, Mario gives us a look at the Wild Wing cart as he challenges the Thwomps to a 1v2. The cart has a great sculpt, which is quite round in contrast to the other carts. Yoshi, on the other hand, sprints through in his very own sprinter cart, kitted out with a bullet bill and a star. Look, I'm going to talk about the items later, but oh my god, those lava plumes have no chance. After Yoshi, we actually have a new character. And that's right, who else could it be than Bowser? And his sculpt is incredible. He's blocky, but still noticeably bigger than Mario or Luigi, which is something I love about KNEX, especially when compared to Lego. Bowser comes in his own standard car, and he's up against fireballs, which will be no challenge for him. Now, the interesting part about these tracks is that you can actually connect them up with others and build your own, as well as recreate tracks from your favourite games. But to those wanting a complete experience for just a single purchase, there were complete tracks you could buy, such as the Mario and Luigi starting line building set, which gives us a pretty complete look at the beginning of Bowser's castle. Both Mario and Luigi come in their own sprinter cart, which is a first for Luigi, and the enemy is yet again a Thwomp. But it's cool to see the starting line, which will return for the next few sets too. After that we get the Bowser's Castle Ultimate building set. We get another look at Mario and Luigi, but this time Luigi comes in his very own Wild Wing cart, which is actually a bit brighter than the games, but I don't mind it. With this actually being a more expensive track than the last one, we get multiple obstacles such as the fireballs, fire cogs, lava plumes, and again the Thwomp. This set by far has the most going on with it, making it really complete and memorable, and I'd go as far to say it was the best set at the time, if it wasn't for the Mario and Yoshi vs Stone Bowser set, which is centered around a giant Stone Bowser, noticeably polygonal, just like in the game, which you can actually control and shoot fireballs at Mario and Yoshi by slamming down. Unfortunately, we don't get to see Yoshi get his own Wild Wing cart, but you could get him along with Mario in a finishing line set for Mario Circuit, along with some Goombas. We do, however, get the return of Bowser, this time only as a minifig, but it is nice to see him again. Now throughout all these track sets this wave, we got a variety of items. with this being the mushroom, banana, green shell, red shell, a bullet bill, and a star. Along with that, we got a few mini bag building sets, which gave us another way to get our hands on Mario, Yoshi, Luigi, and Bowser. The wave wasn't over just yet though. If you were a die-hard fan, you could actually get your hands on the expansion pack. This gave us 24 pieces of red buildable track, decorated with checkered grey stickers. Along with that, we got a buildable Mario figure, and our final item this wave, the winner's trophy item from the game itself. And I'd actually argue it looks better than the game. This was something super awesome that KNEX really didn't have to do, but it let us know that they were serious about the Mario brand, and they proved they could make it work. Suffice to say, people were excited about the next wave. Wave 2 and possibly 3 released in 2012. The timeline gets a little confusing here. While some sources say it released from 2012 to 2013, other sources like Bricker and the KNEX database both date these from 2012. Upon deeper digging, it seems as though some bike building sets got re-released in 2013, with the inclusion of 2 new characters. Either way, this is where the line gets really interesting. Starting off with the bike building sets, well, what's new? While still sticking to the original standard bike, we did get a bunch of new characters, and some returning ones too, who may or may not have gone their own bike, Yoshi. I particularly like the choice of Blue for his bike. I know they're keeping it accurate just like the games, but it really helps it stand out from Luigi's. Along with that, we have Bowser, who just looks straight up menacing. They did a really good job recreating the one from the game, even if it is missing a few metal details. Something that may be a relief to some fans, and possibly a disappointment for others, is that Bowser actually fits his bike quite well, in contrast with the game, which is quite funny. Toad on the other hand looks a bit too small for his bike, which actually works perfectly, but you have to wonder, how does he not fall off? Now, with Toad being our first new character this wave, he actually has one of the most game accurate sculpts. Although this likely wasn't too difficult due to how simple and round his head is. Sorry, Toad. Meanwhile, Donkey Kong just looks a bit off. I don't know what it is. I mean, it looks really close to the games, but it almost looks as though he's staring into my soul. His bike looks really good though. Now, his little buddy Diddy Kong looks amazing. I mean, they have even the tiny Nintendo logo on his hat. What I find really interesting is that they actually gave him a tail, which you wouldn't really expect. Their bikes are pretty much the same though, other than the stickers. Now, the last 2 new characters, who possibly didn't release until 2013, are Wario and Koopa. Now, Wario, I get it, but Koopa? This makes him our first enemy minifig, and they had no issue with recreating their proportions. Wario looks so short and stubby, and he has that cheeky grin, which is just like him. The Koopa has an excellent head sculpt too, but again, it's another pretty simple one that's hard to mess up. Most of these characters were lucky enough to get their own cart set. Again, just a standard cart, but it's nice to have options. You get Bowser, Toad, Donkey Kong, and Diddy Kong. What's really interesting about these are all the new items. We got a blooper, a blue shell, which has a lot of detail, and a golden mushroom. Actually, does anyone else call them queen mushrooms? I know I did. I actually used to have the Diddy Kong set when I was younger, although unfortunately it hasn't stood the test of time. Now, you'd think that'd be the end of the carts this wave, but we actually have more. This time with motorized battery powered carts. Yeah, unlike last wave, you can actually get these in building sets, which gave us a cheaper way to get our hands on our favourite characters and carts. This was a unique way of re-releasing Mario, Yoshi, Bowser, and Luigi, as Mario and Yoshi both came in their wobbling carts, giving us the Mega Mushroom and the Pow Block, while Luigi just came in a Sprinter cart, with the return of the blooper item. And sadly, Bowser just has his standard cart. But hey, this is his second cart building set this wave. Some characters don't even get that. Well, Wario did get his own standard cart, but you had to buy one of their small tracks for it. The 2 track themes this time around were what seems to be a combination of Beach Peach and Shy Guy Beach, along with Sherbert Land and Decay Summit, 2 polar opposites. For Wario, he came in the Sherbert Land theme, and they really had a unique feature of a penguin that could actually slide down to attack. I guess using an actual slide was the only way to get the slide mechanic to work. 10 points to gravity! In contrast, Toad gets a sidestepper challenge in Shy Guy Beach, and we got ourselves a lovely palm tree and a giant crab which could be pulled back and forth with a rod. Weirdly enough, these were the only 2 small tracks this time. It was likely due to the experimentation in this wave, and allowed them to put much more effort into their breaker sets, such as the Ice Race building set with Mario and Bowser. This is what I meant when it seemed like they combined Sherbert Land and DK Summit. We got both the penguin and this time a swinging Shy Guy. The swinging mechanism lines up really well with the game, as Shy Guys continuously slide up and down. Interestingly enough, they used a launcher for the penguin, which is definitely a unique way to recreate the penguin slide. Mario also came with Donkey Kong and the Peach race building set. We had the Sidestepper returning, but they didn't seem to do a whole lot. We also got the Cataquacks, which essentially took their job. The neat thing about these tracks is that they have a ramp that can create a cool jump for your racers. Now we actually did return to Mario Circuit and Bowser's Castle, this time with Donkey and Diddy Kong, but there's nothing really that new except for the Piranha Plant having a more refined mechanic. We did get 2 ultimate building sets this time around though, again with Mario Circuit, which is similar to the expansion pack with it having a lot of the items and the return of the trophy, but it also comes with both the Wildman cart for Mario and Toad with a standard card, along with some enemies. Alternatively, we had Mario and Donkey Kong in the combination of all the new track themes this time around. It was the best way to get the new enemy obstacles such as the Shy Guy, Cataquacks, the Sidestepper and the Penguin, especially if you were trying to save your money. Before finishing off this wave though, we got another new addition to the Mario KNEX line, the blind bags. These were cheap and fun ways to get your favourite minifigs, and would begin a new series for KNEX that would allow them to experiment with characters and variants that they normally wouldn't have been able to. Although it meant hardcore fans likely had to buy more than necessary, especially if they wanted to collect them all. But hey, that's just business. In the series 0 of sorts, we had the Mario Kart Wii blind bags with Mario and Luigi of course, along with Yoshi and Bowser, as well as Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong and Toad. Unfortunately though, Wario and Koopa were left behind, again. Overall, this was a pretty good year for KNEX. They introduced a bunch of new characters while also refining and innovating with the track sets. Little did they know though, their biggest year was yet to come. In 2014, KNEX began branching out as not only did we get more Mario Kart sets, but also some other popular Mario game sets. In fact, before the body of Mario Kart Wii was even cold, KNEX moved on to Mario Kart 7, which felt like an odd choice. It had already been released for a couple of years by this point, releasing in 2011. The decision was worth it though, as we got some of the most unique kart building sets in the whole line. Starting off with Mario in his standard card. Simple, but this time it's noticeably different. There's a lot less noticeable bricks, and honestly it just looks like a full figure. As well as that, it comes with a glider, which was a new feature that had just been introduced in that game. And we also got a new item with the Super Leaf. Next up, we got Donkey Kong driving the Bolt Buggy. And it becomes pretty apparent they were basing these off of the promotional images, which makes it such a wasted opportunity. I mean, why Donkey Kong when we could have had the Wario Kart building set? Come on, KNEX! But anyways, they did a pretty good job translating this kart from the games. Although the proportions are a bit off, especially with the wheels. It's weird because for those who don't know, Mario Kart 7 was actually the first game where you could fully customize your vehicles. So you'd think KNEX would have tried a bit of variation in size, but hey, at least the tires are different. Following that, Peach comes in the Birthday Girl kart. Disregarding the name, the kart looks incredible. The colour's great, they've even got the gold line on the edges of the kart. Although they could have made the magenta a bit more red. A bit nitpicky, I know. Still, it's crazy to think you could actually build this and put it together. Thankfully though, it seems like most of the spots were likely stickers or details printed on beforehand, because I think it would have been pretty difficult to get that right. Interestingly though, the kart sets give us a unique hair mold for Peach. While she would be re-released again with her hair being down, specifically in the kart sets you could actually get her in a ponytail. This was likely to keep in line with the promotional art at the time, as well as the in-game model. Sadly for Peach though, my favourite in this line is actually Yoshi. Could you tell? I don't know who at Nintendo thought to put him in the Bumblebee in the first place, but I am a big fan of that decision, and KNEX did a great job bringing it to life. It seems to be based off specifically this art because of the sponge wheels with their little flower in them. Man, did they really hit the nail on the head with this one. There's so many details to love, such as the headlights or the wings. They even added bolt details near the stripes. I think what makes it stand out from the other carts this time around is the noticeable bricks being used. I don't know why, but I think I actually prefer it since it helps it stand out from a regular figure. To add to that, we got another new item, the Fire Flower item, which is honestly an odd choice to give to Yoshi, but it was a new item in the game. Unfortunately though, we only got a single kart racing track this year. Based on Piranha Plant side, we got the, you guessed it, the Piranha Plant side building set. This honestly felt like a bit of a downgrade due to how simple the track layout was, but that's not to say they didn't experiment. We saw the return of the ramp, this time noticeably bigger than before, and more room to land when dropping. Additionally, the Piranha Plant seems to have been refined yet again, having more details with both the pipe and a wall. And with the return of the Goomba, this time with a spinning mechanic that could be triggered when Mario races into them, which KNEX then used to add coins Mario could collect. I have to admire the experimentation this time around, but it still felt like a bit of a letdown, especially when you consider this was the only track released for this game. Thankfully though, they made up for this with their other sets, introducing the Super Mario line. Now in this line they made sets for 2 games this year, New Super Mario Bros. 2, which had been released just a year prior, and Super Mario 3D Land, which had been released just 2 years prior. These seem like odd choices, especially considering they were both for the 3DS, but it actually made a lot of sense. New Super Mario Bros. 2 had released just a year prior, a little earlier than Mario Bros. U, so they likely had more time and content to work with. And Super Mario 3D World wasn't coming out till later that year. Given how similar the names are, it probably made more sense just to work off 3D Land instead. But hey, that's just my take on it. It's no stretch to say then, they went all out for this year. We got a ton of building sets. Starting off small with the enemy building sets, we had one for each game, including another one with just the generic Super Mario branding. Each set came with a launcher and a jump disc, technically giving Mario a spare set of legs, which can always come in handy, along with enemy minifigures, Mario variants, and collectible coins. Now it's interesting that the enemy minifigs actually do have some articulation, for the most part. Take the Dry Bones for example. At first glance it looks just like a Koopa reskin, and it kind of is. But it also has new modes for the head, with the teeth and the upper and lower jaw, and the bony limbs, which must have been a bit of a challenge. We also got the Resonar with a movable jaw that can spew fireballs on the Goombas. They can spin, I guess. Okay, in all fairness, what were they gonna do? Now for 3D Land, we just got a basic Mario, and for Super Mario, we got a Fire Mario. But the most interesting one is by far the White Raccoon Mario. Not only does it look amazing, but it also has a really interesting choice. There might be some confusion over this though, due to how similar the White Tanuki and Raccoon Mario designs are. In fact, so much confusion that in the official video advertising for this product, they used both names. But regardless, they definitely didn't hold back with the design. They even went for the effort of giving him a tail. Onto the full building sets though, we got 3 for New Super Mario Bros. 2. Beginning with the desert set, we got the launcher and jump disc, which is just sort of a theme for these, along with some golden Goombas spinning at presumably light speed while Fire Mario has to defeat them. Fire Mario comes with a gold block you can swap his head with, and there's plenty of coins everywhere, even in a hidden room in the back. I think KNEX wanted to teach kids about capitalism and greed or something. We also have some buildable platforming, which will again just be a theme, and a palm tree. After that we have the beach building set, where it seems Mario brought Luigi for a Jet 2 holiday. Note that they know our new character, the Cheep Cheeps, would be after them. Interestingly enough, this set came with a pipe and a gold bowl. Honestly though, they did a good job of creating believable water with the translucent plastic. They also gave Mario the raccoon suit and Luigi the fox suit, which is just some ears and a tail, but it helps give collectors another reason to buy the set. The most interesting set of the 3 though is by far the font building set with his castle theme. Using the warp pipe to enter the course, Mario and Luigi have to dodge thwomps which you can slam down, and you can even collect a mushroom item. After that you have another warp pipe, which when turning around the set itself, you learn you have a totally different play area on the other side. It even has a secret room with yet another Goomba variant, a Bone Goomba. This time with a new mold to showcase those tiny square pearls. Now while we do get another Fire Mario this time round, we also get a Metal Luigi minifig, which is actually metallic. All in all, New Super Mario Bros. 2 had some good sets, but I think 3D Lands are better. The Flying Cloud building set is already a step up the formula. The platforms look more game accurate with the mushrooms and the clouds themselves, and we even got a mystery box with a power up inside. They've got platforms to go up and down, and you can even spin Mario about, which is really supposed to be used for our new edition, Propeller Box Mario. That's right, this is another wacky variant, and for the fans that just want regular old Mario, you can get that too. Personally though, I think my favourite is the Ghost House set, simply because it really pushes the limit with the interactivity with the rotating boos, platforming, and even sliding platforms. We also get Boomerang Mario, which actually comes with a holdable boomerang. I think that's the interesting thing about these sets. They tend to come up with a power-up variant and unique enemies, such as the Prongo set which came in this line, which not only gives us a look at the more vibrant world of Mario featured in a lot of the games, but also a Prongo enemy and our very own Tanuki Mario, which is not a raccoon. However, the biggest and most expensive set is the Bowser's Castle building set. In terms of new enemies, it comes with the Draglet, which is battery powered along with fireballs. This lets you focus on just playing as Mario. Along with that, it comes with a track and slide, which is just a super unique gimmick with the way it goes up and down. As well as that, the entrance itself is really well done. It really helps bring the castle to life. And finally we get 3 minifigures. Nothing new, but still great for possibly new fans of KNEX. We have Mario, Peach, and Bowser, who can look a bit goofy at times. Now it is worth mentioning, we did get a cannon building set, just for the Super Mario brand itself, but other than the inclusion of the bullet bill, which is actually launchable, it's mostly more of the same. While these sets were all well and good, they were pretty pricey and weren't really affordable, especially if you wanted to collect them all. Thankfully though, KNEX followed this and released some double packs which included 2 minifigures and an additional mystery character. This gave us another way to get our hands on some of these guys, as well as some bonus content. For example, we got Boomerang Mario and Koopa, which, spoiler alert, came with a boomerang flower. And for New Super Mario Bros. 2, we got Fire Luigi, which is surprisingly a first. And a Gold Mario, which is again metallic, which is really cool. The mystery item this time though was fittingly a Golden Bullet Bill. While it is a bit cheap just to do a paint variant, if we're being honest, that's what a lot of these power-ups and variants are. The Super Mario double packs on the other hand include Fire Mario and a completely new character, the Hammer Bro, who would only make one other appearance. The sculpt is impressively accurate though, even down to the tiny bands on the hammer. The head sculpt is really impressive, especially of the helmet. The only issue is he's a bit on the shorter side, but even then, that's a bit nippy. This time though, the mystery item was actually a Bob-omb, which has a surprising amount of articulation. He has movable feet with peg holes to go with it. He can even twist and wind up the key. Finally though, we have Luigi and Goomba. These are honestly just more the same, but the cool thing about the Goombas, which I failed to mention earlier, is that they're actually stackable. The interesting bit is the mystery figure is actually Shy Guy. Coming with posable arms and a little shorter than the other two, he looks straight out of the games. I genuinely don't think they could have done any better. The sculpt looks amazing, and I'll say again, it's something LEGO would never do in terms of accuracy, since they're so focused on trying to make them in the LEGO style, especially if they're minifigures. Hey, maybe time will prove me wrong, but I doubt it. Now to finish up the year, we have the return of the mystery bags. Interestingly enough, they began branching off into the new Super Mario Bros. Wii in February of 2013, for a game which was released just a few years prior. It just looks so colourful, and gives us quite a few variants for Mario and Luigi, with us getting Mario, Fire Mario, Luigi, Ice Luigi, both the blue and yellow Toad, which makes sense as they are both playable in the game, along with a yellow and blue Yoshi, likely due to the colour of the Toads. We also got Princess Peach, which we know wasn't her only appearance this year, but her sculpt is really good, and to be fair, they did a pretty good job translating her from the game, especially since she possibly has the most complicated design out of them all, due to her dress, hair, and crown. It's pretty accurate for the most part, but you can definitely tell they struggled with her face. For Series 2, releasing that August, we got a ton of characters. Focusing less on variants, we got the standard Mario Peach, and the return of the GOAT, Wario. But we also got some new ways to get minifigs like Boo, who's lacking articulation, but also characters like Dry Bones and Shy Guy, which as I've discussed earlier have some amazing sculpts. We also got a new character of the red Koopa Paratroopa, try saying that 10 times fast. It's essentially a red variant of the Koopa with some wings, but it's still cool nonetheless. Most importantly though, we got Daisy, which is her first appearance. She's pretty similar to Peach, but has a completely unique head sculpt with the hair and the crown, along with the earrings. Again though, the face is a bit questionable. But that wraps up 2013, by far the biggest year in Mario KNEX history. Unfortunately though, we would see a massive drop off after this point, as KNEX began picking up and producing other sets for different brands like Plants vs Zombies. Still though, that's not to say they didn't give us any interesting stuff. For example, in 2014, we saw them move on to the new Super Mario Bros. U. For this we got the massive layer cake desert building set. Like other sets, it's essentially a full-on course, but they went all out with the obstacles. For example, 2/3 of the buildable figures are enemies. We have Fire Mario, Waddle Wing, and Pokey, which can spin. We also got a moving statue and some pop-up sand geysers. Again, we got the warp pipe, coins, and the launcher, which we're all familiar with by now. We even got a fire flower item. But personally, the most interesting part is the double minifig packs. Not only did we get Fire Toad, specifically the yellow Toad, we also got the Flying Squirrel Mario. The sculpt is great, especially the puffy hat, and while you can take off the wings, it seems though the arms are a little lacking in some mobility, which is a bit of a shame. Still though, this is my favourite Mario variant. Weirdly enough though, the mystery item this time round was an ice flower, not a fire flower, an ice flower. Yes, they didn't want to do the same thing 2 times in a row, but why not just add the acorn? And now on to 3D World, and we got a bit, but again, not a lot. We got the Cat Mario building set, which comes with a new enemy, the Pipsqueak, and some platform walls, which are a great recreation from the game. We also got a clear warp pipe, which was specifically unique for that game. For such a beloved game though, we really didn't get a whole lot. I mean, we did get Cat Mario, which don't get me wrong, looks amazing, but the line did feel a little incomplete. We did get a double minifigure pack, presumably the following year, but even that was a bit of a letdown. Coming with yet again another Pipsqueak and the blooper as a mystery item, which to be fair we hadn't seen in a while, but it was nothing extraordinary. The only thing really new was the cannon box for Mario's head, but all in all, not a whole lot. So unless you were collecting these things, there was really no reason to buy it, which explains why there's so little documentation of it online. Heck, I even thought it was a cancelled set for a while. Thankfully though, there is a light at the end of this grim Mario tunnel, and that is the mystery bags. Series 3 released in January of 2014. Again, just some returning characters, some we hadn't seen in a while. While we got the standard Mario, we also got the Hammer Bro and weirdly Cheep Cheep. Bowser made a comeback, and while you could get him in the castle building set, this was much more easy to get your hands on, especially if you were comparing price tags. We also got ourselves a Red Toad, a Bullet Bill, and surprisingly Diddy Kong. Lastly, we have Pink Yoshi, which is personally my favourite, and I think a lot of people can agree the best part about these mystery bags were the coloured variants for Toad and Yoshi. Later that year in August though, we got Series 4, which had again another Mario, but also Luigi, Donkey Kong, Bob-omb, and 3 new additions. We got Green Toad, which now brings us up to 4 different colours. Along with that, we got Bowser Jr., which would be one of his only appearances. Sculpt is again incredibly accurate and really does justice to the games. The marker looks to the graffiti on his bib, along with even his head sculpt came out great, and it seems like he's a pretty comparable size, being on the shorter end. Now, this mystery bag included perhaps the most interesting, important character in Mario history. The one who's always done dirty. The very best, Waluigi. Being one of, if not the tallest minifigures in his line, he stands to be one of the most game accurate human characters. They really got the face sculpt spot on, which must have been difficult. I mean, due to all of this, let's say, unique facial features, boy did they cook with the mustache. Honestly, I think that's where all the budget went this year. In all seriousness though, the mystery bags definitely helped keep the series alive, and honestly it will continue to do so, but KNEX did have one last card to play. In 2014, Mario Kart released for the Wii U. It's no surprise then that the following year in 2015, KNEX would want to capitalize on that opportunity, and so they did. This year we got sets featuring the standard kart within the game, this time with a new hover feature. No, these karts didn't actually hover, but they do have 2 sets of wheels, one replicating the look of the hover mode in anti-gravity, and the other which is just standard. It's a really interesting feature, and even more interesting that they can still move when in hover mode. But these building sets are lacking the flair we saw of Mario Kart 7, where each character had their own unique kart. And these guys don't even come with items. There were only 3 characters available at the time as well, Mario, Yoshi, and Peach. On the other hand though, we also got some cool bike building sets, and I think they did a pretty good job of replicating the sharp yet beveled look from the games. Again, still just a standard kart, but I really like how it was done. Interestingly, on the box they used a render of Donkey Kong from the game, regardless of character. It's pretty obvious they were just trying to convey, yes, this is the bike from the game you like, buy it. The hover mode this time only involves one set of wheels, but you have to spin the back wheel upside down and spin the front tire inward and then hinge it forward. It's a really neat mechanic that I prefer over the cards, but it is a teeny bit complicated. Again, no new items. We did get a variety of characters though, such as Mario, Luigi, and Donkey Kong, who actually has an extra piece on his bike, so his stubby legs could fit. Now, we actually did get one racetrack set this year, which brings us to Thwomp Ruins. This is a pretty standard loop, giving us a ramp and some coins for 2 battery-powered racers Mario and Yoshi can collect. And I think it goes without saying, but we got 2 Thwomp obstacles, which you could slam down to stop your racers. The stickers on the track are actually what sell the theme the most, I think, in my opinion. The only real reminder that this is a specific track in Mario Kart 8. We actually did get 2 items this time though, with the standard banana peel, but also a new item, the Thunderbolt. I think these are pretty needed additions to add some imagination and creativity to those playing with the set. Again though, this year left a little to be desired, which is where the mystery bags come in. In January we got Series 5, which gives us 2 unique variants. I could go over all the characters, but from this point on I think it'll be a bit redundant. As you'll quickly see, these mystery bags will be the only thing guaranteed in this line. We got White Tanuki Mario, which is not to be confused with the raccoon suit. The difference is subtle, specifically with the change from overalls, but also a hood mold instead of a cap. I prefer this much more since they actually threw Mario into a onesie. We also got Fire Peach, one of the rare times Peach gets a variant. This is likely based off a 3D World, given that it was one of her first appearances as a playable character. I remember this bag specifically because as a kid I was always trying to find Fire Peach in the mystery bag. I even remember watching unboxings where they recommended pointing up to the light so you could see what's inside. It didn't work for me, but I'm sure it confused adults walking by. It's also worth mentioning we got the return of Cat Mario. This is actually a bit significant, as it provided a cheap and affordable way to get your hands on him without buying a full set. Series 6, which released during the summer though, featured primarily obscure characters such as the Power Goomba, which is just a Goomba of things, as well as the Fire Bro, which is actually just a recolor of the Hammer Bro, but still cool nonetheless. This bag actually gave us the return of Tanuki Mario and Fox Luigi, as well as Gold Mario. Like I said, they were going for obscure with this one. The last notable mention was Daisy, since mystery bags were essentially the only way to get her. Now 2016 would be a pretty quiet year. We still had the mystery bags, which released in January and August, but they were all pre-existing characters. With the only one worth mentioning is Drybones, since he hadn't been seen in a while. This brings us up to 2017, which little did we know would be the final year of the KNEX line. They didn't go out in complete silence though, because they gave us 2 new kart sets. That's right, now just under the Mario Kart name, but still the hover kart mechanics. We got Wario. Finally, he has his own kart building set! And the colors work perfectly on him. But we didn't just get him. No, we also got Shy Guy? This is by far the most surprising. Up until this point, Shy Guy hadn't even stepped foot near a KNEX kart. But it certainly looks great. Of course, only Shy Guy would get the menacing black cart. As well as re-releasing Mario and Yoshi, we also got Toad on his own bike. He may struggle to keep his feet on the pedal, but who needs them? Not only that, but we also got 3 mystery bags this year in March, August, and October, giving us the return of some of our favourite characters, like Bowser Jr., Diddy Kong, and Waluigi! Sorry. On top of that, we also got a bunch of new variants, with Powerbones as Drybones with wings, Builder Mario, which comes with his very own hammer and releases in Series 9 and 10, as well as Luigi with his Poltergeist 5000, which releases in Series 10 and 11. We also got Cannon Box Luigi. They also gave us a red Yoshi and a purple Toad. Okay, the purple is actually a really obscure choice, which just makes it all the more interesting. Like why that? Now, to finish it off, we got Cat Peach, which seems to have nearly an entirely new mold. She has oversized paws of her hands and feet, along with a tail. We also got a unique mold for the head, with the cat hood covering most of her hair. These mystery bags are amazing, and a huge step up from what was beginning to feel stale. Unfortunately though, after 2018, KNEX was acquired by Basic Fun, which stopped all production on licensed and brick-based sets, including Super Mario. And in March of 2020, LEGO would announce they'd acquired the rights to produce Mario construction sets. To add salt to the wound, Basic Fun filed for bankruptcy in 2024, although it later emerged from bankruptcy in November that same year. Regardless though, this is an incredibly sad ending for the Mario line, and in a way KNEX as a whole, with it no longer existing as it once was. Still, the legacy of the Mario KNEX series lives on in the hands of creators, who still make content to this day. And with LEGO announcing their own minifigures for 2027, it'll be interesting to see how they fare up against KNEX. Well, there you have it. A full timeline and history of the Mario KNEX series. Now, this was a bit of a challenge to put together, and it's hard to know the exact year some sets were released in. But I think I was able to put a pretty good estimation, based on the information online. I'm interested in what you guys have to say though. What did you think of the KNEX line? And are there any Mario games you would have liked to have seen a set for if they still had the license today? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.